When we talk about the future of AI, our minds usually jump to what it can do for us. But what if its biggest impact isn't the answers it gives, but the questions it inspires in us? Let's dive into a totally different vision for AI, one that's all about amplifying our own curiosity, through the story of Purpleplexi's founder, Aravind Srinivas.
So let's start with this quote from Arvind himself. Right off the bat, he completely shatters that classic tech founder myth. You know the one, the rebel genius, the college dropout building an empire from a garage. But Arvind tells us he did the exact opposite. He stayed in school, he studied, and he got his PhD.
And this gets us to a really crucial idea. The person who builds the technology fundamentally shapes what that technology becomes. Arvind's background as an academic, not a dropout, completely changes the goal of what AI should even be built for.
So let's just look at this contrast, side by side. On one side, you've got the stereotype we all know and love, the college dropout. But the new reality in AI, the one Aravind is a part of, is the PhD holder from a place like Berkeley, someone whose whole world is built on deep, rigorous, fact-checked research.
And this isn't just about Aravind. He was at a big AI conference recently and noticed something really telling. Almost half, 46% of the speakers there held PhDs. Now, this isn't just about a fancy degree, it's about a mindset. Academia is all about verifiable truth and citing your sources, which, it turns out, is exactly what you need to build an AI that we can actually trust.
Now, what's so wild about this is that it's a complete U-turn from where we were heading. A University of Maryland study from just a few years ago found a steep decline in companies founded by PhDs over the last 2 decades. So this new AI boom, led by academics, it isn't just a small change, it's a massive, surprising reversal.
But here's the thing. This new wave of academic founders isn't exactly starting from scratch. They're actually fulfilling a vision that was laid out almost a quarter century ago by the last great tech company that was also founded by academics, Google. Let's see how the past basically predicted our present.
Take a look at this. This is Google's co-founder, Larry Page, all the way back in the year 2000. I mean, this is before the iPhone, before Facebook, before pretty much everything. And he was already saying that the end game for search wasn't just a list of links. It would be a true AI that could understand and answer any question you could possibly think of.
This decades-old vision of answering any question forces us to think a lot bigger. It's not just about the future of search engines anymore. If we actually succeed in building a technology that can answer anything for all of humanity, well, we have to ask a much bigger question. What does that mean for the future of us?
And that huge philosophical question, it actually finds its answer in a really personal, really human story. See, Arvind's journey didn't start with some grand global vision. It started with his own confusion, and how that state of perplexity led to a solution for all of us. Okay, so picture this. After spending his whole life in the structured world of academia, Aravind suddenly gets thrown into the deep end of Silicon Valley. All of a sudden, he's asking these really basic, practical questions about things like safe notes and health insurance, but just finding a simple, straight answer was almost impossible.
He actually calls this a state of perplexity. And you know this feeling, right? It's that feeling of drowning in search results, of having all the information in the world right there, but having no clear, trustworthy path to a real answer. That problem literally gave his company its name and its mission. So, the problem was clear. Information overload was just creating more uncertainty. The mission then was to build a tool that could cut right through all that noise and deliver clear, trusted knowledge. So he and his co-founders built an AI to do all that tedious research for them. But here's the absolute game changer, and it comes straight from his academic DNA. They built it with citations. Every single answer had to be backed by verifiable sources, just like a research paper, to make sure it could actually be trusted. And this visual just lays out the whole paradigm shift perfectly. We're moving away from the old way, a messy list of 10 blue links that basically leaves all the hard work and the uncertainty up to you. And we're moving to the new way, a single, clear answer with the receipts to back it up. It's knowledge you can actually use.
Now this is the crucial point. Getting a trustworthy answer isn't the end of the journey. It's the starting line. When you're not wasting all your time and energy just trying to verify if something is true, you are suddenly free to ask deeper, better, and way more interesting follow-up questions.
This leads to the most profound shift in this whole story. When accurate answers become instantly and universally accessible to everyone, well, the entire game changes.
the focus moves away from finding information to deciding what to ask in the first place.
Let's put this in economic terms, because it's huge. The cost and effort of doing research, which used to be reserved for experts and huge institutions, is plummeting towards zero. For the first time in history, access to well-researched knowledge is becoming a universal utility, like turning on a tap for water. So that brings us to a really important question for all of us. In a world where answers are abundant, instant, and free, what skill becomes the most valuable? What truly matters anymore?
The answer is your curiosity. It's your ability to think critically and formulate the next great question. Because when knowledge is a commodity, the person asking the most insightful questions is the one who's going to drive all future progress.
And this brings us right to the ultimate conclusion. The true promise of AI isn't about replacing human intelligence at all. It's about amplifying the very thing that makes us most human, our relentless, innate, and absolutely insatiable curiosity.
You know, the physicist David Deutsch argues that our potential for progress is literally limitless, but it's not a guarantee. It's driven entirely by our engagement in relentless questioning. And AI is now becoming the ultimate engine for that exact process. This is just a fundamental truth about our species, isn't it? For us, every answer isn't a conclusion. It's a doorway that opens up to a dozen new questions we hadn't even thought to ask before.
So, when we talk about the future of AI, what we are really talking about is the future of our own curiosity. The technology is simply a tool, an incredibly powerful one, that we can use to explore the infinite territory of our own minds.
This reframes everything. It puts the power and the responsibility right back in our hands. So I'll just leave you with this. With all the world's answers at your fingertips, what will you ask next?